Suspense. Radio's outstanding theater of thrills brings you an hour, a full 60 minutes of suspense. Directed by Anton M. Leader and produced by Robert Montgomery, who tonight also stars in a play entitled In a Lonely Place by Dorothy B. Hughes.
This is Robert Montgomery. The other day, a friend of mine repeated a familiar phrase. He indicated the travel folder on his desk and said with a kind of triumph, "I'm going to get away from it all." He's lucky, my friend is. He's going to change the scene, the whole scene. New horizons, new vistas, new people, or no people at all. New thoughts, or no thoughts at all. He has a rendezvous with a cloudless sky and a peaceful stream and the easy whisper of the wind. Only time stands between him and a fresh beginning. Indeed, he has a lonely place where there is no loneliness. Yes, my friend's lucky. He can get away from it all with a simple change of scene, and he has no fear of being alone with his thoughts. It isn't like that with Dixon Steele. It isn't like that at all.
And so, with the performance of Robert Montgomery as Dixon Steele, and with our play In a Lonely Place by Dorothy B. Hughes, we again hope to keep you in suspense.
I stood there at the foot of Sunset, at the end of the city of Los Angeles, looking out through the evening fog at the Pacific. The swirling mists kept lifting themselves like gauzy veils, coming up to touch my face. There was something in it like flying, the sense of being lifted high above the crawling earth, of being part of the wildness of air, and something more, of being wrapped tight in a strange world of fog and cloud and wind. I had liked flying at night, but the war's ending had finished that. Since then it had left me, that feeling of power and exhilaration and freedom that came from being alone in the sky. But here, tonight, at the edge of this noisy, fog-drenched ocean, I had it again. Then I turned away. I was already late for my appointment with Brubb and his new wife. I walked past my coupe, parked at the curb, and went up the path to the little white cottage. The lights from the living room windows made little concentric circles in the heavy fog. It would be good to see Brubb again.
You old son of a secret. What do you mean by not calling us before now? Let me see you.
It's the same boy, Brubb. I haven't changed a bit, and neither have you.
Oh, sure I have, for the better. And this is why. Sylvia, this is Dixon Steele.
Hello, Dix.
Oh.
We're old friends, really. You've been Brubb's favorite topic of conversation as long as I've known him.
Well, we flew together, Sylvia. Brubb took care of me like a big brother.
You needed some looking after, Colonel Steele. Remember the night in Soho?
Save it for later, mister. And it's not Colonel anymore. The Army made me a gentleman, gave me the only mark of distinction I've ever had, and then took it away from me. Say, why didn't you tell me you were married into such a lovely girl?
Well, thank you, Dick.
Tell you. You called me up 5 months ago, last April the 8th to be exact. Told me you'd just get in and let me know as soon as you were located. That's the last I heard. You checked out of the ambassador 3 days later, and you didn't leave a forwarding address. How could it tell you anything?
Keeping tabs on me, Brubb?
Oh, trying to find you, you crazy lug.
And here I am. It's like being home again.
Well, brief me, boy. What have you been doing, and how's it going?
Slow, Brubb, slow. I've got a little apartment and a car and a typewriter. That's about it.
The typewriter's a new touch.
Trying to write a book, like 90% of the other GIs. A detective novel. My rich Uncle Fergus back east is staking me for a year to see what I can do. He calls it giving me a hand over the period of my readjustment. So that keeps me busy most of the time.
And the rest of the time?
The rest of the time, I hardly know what to do with myself.
You were a hot pilot in England, Dix. Just a kid at that. Sure, it's going to take a little time.
Would anyone care for something to eat or drink? Cold beer? Dick?
No, thanks. Not at the moment. I'm too relaxed.
We were a casual generation, Dix, and they put us in the middle of something that wasn't very casual. There's bound to be a reaction.
Oh, Brubb's always looking for the hidden motive power. That's because he's a policeman.
Policeman?
Oh, not a policeman now, darling. A detective.
I'm sorry, darling.
What happened to you, Brub?
All my old buddies ask me why, and I can't help them. I don't know why. All I do know is it's rotten hard work.
No, the things men do. You with a badge and me with a typewriter. And that reminds me, I ought to be getting back to it.
Oh, but it's still early.
Oh, what's the hurry, Dix?
Well, Brub will want his rest, Sylvia, if he's going to dig around for the glory of the L.A. police force. It is L.A., isn't it, Brub?
It is, indeed.
And you do need some sleep. Plenty of work in L.A., no?
Plenty.
Well, I'll be seeing you two.
Well, good night, Dix. We'll expect you to come often.
Hey, wait a minute. We don't have your number.
My number?
Sure, we'll want to get in touch.
Oh, yeah, right. Crestview, 90898.
90898.
That's
Good.
right.
You'll be hearing from me, Dix.
I'd be hearing from Brub. And why not? Good old Brub with his tired eyes and rumpled hair. Brub had been my big brother. But he hadn't known everything there was to know. Some things a man keeps secret. It's amusing to keep some things secret. I wondered if they were surprised by my quick exit. But I had to get out of there. I couldn't stay. I had to figure things out. So Brub was a detective now, and he had my telephone number. There was something amusing about Brub being able to lay his hands on me whenever he wanted. Amusing and more exciting than anything that had happened in a long time. The hunter and the hunted, arm in arm. The hunt, sweetened by danger.
We interrupt this radio broadcast for a special announcement. Flash. Earlier today, it was reported that an unidentified flying object landed in a field in Bergen County, New Jersey. For those of you whose radio is equipped with a television transmitter, please report to your viewing screen for a live report from the crash site. Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. America. This is Waddle the Duck from Channel Watch Waddle. At the site in the Grover Cleveland pumpkin patch, where just a few minutes ago, a UFO came crashing down through this fence behind me and right smack into the middle of that barn. Opinion here states that so far we're under the impression that this was possibly just a test drone from a local company that crashed here by accident, or it is possibly visited here from somewhere beyond New Jersey. Either which way, we've been here for a while, and so far, it has been completely inanimate, possibly safe. However, we will stay here on this site until further information is given to us. Thanks. Back to you. Thank you, Waddle. We now return you to your regularly scheduled Halloween Holidays broadcast.
I was driving slowly, hugging the curb, and then I saw her. A girl, an unknown girl, standing alone on the corner of Camden Drive, waiting for a bus. And buses didn't run often out here at night. I pulled up a block ahead and got out, shutting the door so it made no sound, and then I walked back toward her. She heard me coming in the fog. She turned her face to me, smiling a little, glad to have someone to share the darkness and the silence with her. I walked up to her, slowly, and I was smiling back. Yes, hello?
Hello, Dix.
Speaking. Oh, is this Sylvia?
How'd you know?
Recognize your voice.
I've been ringing and ringing. Where have you been?
Well, I guess I slept through it. I was up late last night working on the book.
Can you break away long enough to have dinner with us tonight at the club?
Tonight? Oh, fine. Fine. What time?
Oh, about 8. Oh, I almost forgot. Don't dress. We're informal at the beach.
Thanks. You had me a little worried. My dinner coat shrank while I was away flying.
Brubs, too. They fed you gentlemen altogether too well. All right, then. Tonight at 8.
Thanks for calling, Sylvia. I had slept late. The day was almost gone. The apartment was already in shadows. The afternoon paper was on the lawn just outside my window. The paper. I threw on a robe and ducked out quickly. Then I was back in the room, standing in the middle of the floor, holding it, still folded in my hand, listening to the blood hammer in my head. I switched on the floor lamp and sank down into an easy chair. I lit a cigarette, and I took a deep drag. Then I unfolded it. That was all I had to do. It lay spread open in my lap. They'd found their biggest type for the headline. Strangler strikes again. Huh?
Dick's over here.
Oh, hello, Sylvia. Where's Brub?
He called at the last minute to say he'd be detained. It's like being married to a doctor. Would you like a drink meanwhile?
Here he is now.
Oh.
Sorry to be late, darling. Hello, Dix.
Hi.
Glad you could join us.
You look exhausted, Brad. Hard day?
Haven't you seen the papers?
No, I didn't get a chance. Why?
It's another one.
Oh, Brad.
Well, what's it all about?
Another woman killed. The same way.
Did the commissioner call you in?
Yeah, the whole department. We've been with him since 5. We've got to stop it.
Yes, darling.
Was it someone important?
No, it never is. Oh, I forgot you're just a visitor, Dix. You see, the only pattern we can find is in the time schedule. They come one a month, regularly.
You must be starved, Rob. Wouldn't you like to order?
In a minute, baby. I want to unwind.
Have a highball, anyway. Malcolm,
Yes, Mrs. Nicolai.
3 scotch and sodas, Malcolm. We'll order later.
Certainly, ma'am.
The first one was about 4 months ago. May, to be exact.
May 16th, the night before my birthday party.
It was a girl down on Skid Row. She was a nice enough kid, dancer in a cheap joint. We found her in an alley, strangled, no clues.
And that was number 1.
Yeah, in June, number 2. We found her in Westlake Park. Wasn't any reason for it. A nice, normal girl, young and attractive. She'd been killed the same way, and no clues.
And then the others?
Last night was the 4th. No motive, no connection between any of them.
Huh.
And never the same neighborhood.
And last night?
Beverly Glen Canyon, up where it's country. She was lying in the brush at the side of the road. There were about 500 car tracks superimposed on that particular stretch, so it wouldn't do any good to lift them. But we've got one clue, a great one. We know the killer uses a car.
How can you tell, bro?
Well, her name was Mildred Atkinson, and she'd been playing bridge with 3 girlfriends in Beverly. At 11, she and another girl went out to the bus stop together. A friend caught a Wilshire bus and left Mildred behind, waiting for a Hollywoodland. So how did she get up to the canyon where we found her this morning? It's a long way. The answer is she went for a ride. Where's that drink?
Just another minute, darling.
Los Angeles is too big, too sprawling. You can't patrol every street every night. He's safe.
He's insane, of course.
Sure he is. A maniac walking the streets. Mild-mannered and soft-spoken and looking as normal as anyone. A homicidal maniac.
I sat there watching Brub's angry black eyes and Sylvia's white pallid face. He's insane, of course. Their imaginations were poor, blunted little things reaching only as far as the obvious. He's insane, of course. So that was to be the chorus. What could they know of the world of imagination and beauty in which a sane man, as sane as any, could kill and kill again?
Don't you like your drink, Dick?
What? Oh, sure.
Lost in a fog, eh, boy? But I know why.
Do you?
Could it be that little Banning girl over at the next table? Could it be that she reminds you of someone?
Well, I don't know what you're talking about, Brub. What girl at what time?
Now he sees her.
What's the mystery about Betsy Banning? Does Dix know her?
No, darling. It's just that she's a dead ringer for another girl we used to know in England. Especially Dix. He knew her well. Am I right?
Yeah. Yes, you're right.
Little Brucey.
This girl is so much like her.
Well, you're wrong, Dix. She's not as pretty as Brucey. Don't you remember?
Remember? Yes. I remember Brucey. But I didn't want to remember Brucey. Brucey of the sea-green eyes. Brucey whom I had loved and wanted and needed. No, I'd been through it before. It was now that mattered. It was today in Southern California, 6,000 miles away from her, with something else hammering in my head to be looked at and examined. What? Oh, yes, tires. They were good tires, no patches, no distinguishing marks. Robert said it himself. They couldn't get tire marks from dry concrete. I hadn't thought so. Still, I should have made sure. Certain gambles are legitimate. Like taking Mildred to that drive-in last night. Gambling on the muddled memory of waitresses who served hundreds of average-looking men and women every day, every night. Sure, it was a risk. But risks were like spice. Like stunt flying. As long as you used them like spice, sparingly. Like stunts, planning them with precision, I could afford to take risks. I just couldn't make mistakes. I left the club right after dinner. Got back to the apartment early. I pulled up in front and got out. I started up through the patio to my place at the rear when I saw I wasn't alone out there. She was hurrying in, not noticing me. In the blue light, her hair and her slacks and her jacket were all blue, different depths of blue. I did it out of impulse, without thought. I beg your pardon.
Who is it?
Well, I'm your neighbor. My name's Steele.
So your name's Steele?
Did you drop something?
I don't know. Did I?
Oh, no, you didn't. It's just conversation.
Try again another time.
No. Wait a minute. I just lost my dinner date. I thought maybe you'd lost yours, too.
Sorry. Mine'll be here any minute.
You've got red hair. I didn't notice that.
It's no secret.
Like I say, I'm your neighbor, 4A. If you do ever lose a dinner date, let me know, will you?
I'll be sure to make a note of that. Good night.
I got some cold beer and some cheese from the refrigerator and draped myself over the divan. The night was a scorcher. A Los Angeles September night. I lay there eating and drinking and waiting for it. Not that I thought for a minute it would come, but I was waiting for it, and it did come. It's you.
I've just lost a dinner date.
Oh, come in. Maybe you'll find him here.
I hope not. I told him I had a headache and was going to bed. And that I was disconnecting the phone. But I still want dinner.
You mind if I finish my beer?
Go ahead.
I'm Dick Steele. Who are you?
My name's Laurel. And that's all you get for the time being.
All right, Laurel. I don't mind beginning at a crawl. I suppose you're in pictures.
Not often. I don't like getting up mornings.
No, I don't either. That's why I'm a writer. Why'd you come by, Laurel?
Because I'm hungry. And because tonight I didn't want to sit opposite a man who's rich and 60 and eats oatmeal.
You have a grudge against money?
No, only against the men and women who go with it. People who think that everything in life is for sale. I hate them.
Sometimes they pay the rent and the jeweler.
They don't pay mine. How did we get onto this? Haven't you finished the beer yet?
All finished. And all ready. Let's go, Laurel. We ate at Carl's, out on the road to Malibu. We didn't say much. We ate and smoked and had coffee. And I watched what the lights did, glinting on that red hair. When we left there, I knew it. I knew it was the beginning of something good. She was beside me and with me, and that was enough. I'd needed her for a long time. Ever since Brucey. That's how long. This girl, this Laurel, could make it up to me, could make me forget. I parked on an open stretch overlooking the dark beach and the ocean. She wanted to go down closer, so we left the car and struggled through the sand down to the water's edge. I held her hand tightly. The spindrift salted our lips.
I haven't done this in a long, long time.
Having fun?
Oh, wonderful. You can really smell the ocean here. Breathe, Dix. Breathe deep.
Laurel, would you laugh at me if I said I was happy? That I never thought I'd be happy again? That I didn't think I could be?
No, Dix.
Laurel. Laurel, you're wonderful.
Am I?
Laurel, come here. Come here.
Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt once again for an update on the earlier report. Once again, here is Waddle at the scene of the incident. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Waddle here, still at the scene of the Grover Cleveland pumpkin patch, when just a few minutes ago, noises started coming from inside the craft. This is a very fascinating thing, ladies and gentlemen. A crowd started gathering around here, and we're all trying to figure out what this thing is and what's going on with it. And, hold on, everyone. So something's going on. There's noises coming from inside, and it's even getting louder. The crowds are starting to say, ladies and gentlemen, this is the most fascinating thing I've ever witnessed. The top of this thing is beginning to rotate like a screw. Yeah, it's definitely hollow inside, and something's coming. Something's coming out. There's a tentacle. We see a tentacle over there.
What is that thing?
Ladies and gentlemen, we seem to have lost contact with Waddle. Please stay tuned to your regularly scheduled Halloween Holidays radio show offering, and we will have this problem fixed momentarily. Thank you very much.
Hello?
Hello, Dix. It's Brub. Did I break into your writing?
No, not at all. What's up?
Who was that redhead I seen you with last night?
What are you talking about? Where did you see me?
Oh, you didn't see us. We were pulling out of Carl's restaurant when you went in. Sylvia spotted you, and I spotted the redhead.
There are always people looking, Brub. There are always eyes to see.
Why, sure, boy. You can't take a step in this world, you know that. But listen, how about lunch?
Fine. What time and where?
Noon, at the Beverly Hills Station.
Beverly Hills Station.
Police station, kid. Pick me up there.
Okay, Brub. I'll see you there. Noon. That was a nice station you got there, Brub. Flowers and shrubs and a white facade. It looks like a small eastern university.
Beverly Hills is just a small town, Dix. Almost a village, but the force is first rate. I'll be working out of there from now on.
How's the case coming?
The case? Oh, that. It's a dead end, I'm afraid.
You mean you're closing the books?
We don't ever close the books. After the newspapers and all the rest of them forget it, our books are still open. That's the way it is.
Well, that's the way it has to be, I guess.
There's been tough cases before, but we find the answer. Our department's had cases running 10, 12 years. Sometimes it's just because we're waiting for the next move, but we find them.
This is Dix, old pal, remember? What are you trying to tell me, that the criminal doesn't escape?
That's right. One way or another, he's caught. Sometimes it's because he's caught there in that lonely place, living with himself. So it ends in suicide or the insane asylum, but there's no escape.
You were saying the other night that this killer is insane.
He is.
I can't figure it. He's been pretty smart, hasn't he?
The insane are more clever about their business and more careful, too, than the sane. It's normal for them to be sly and secretive. That's part of the mania. But they give themselves away. How do you like this apple pie?
Just like Mom used to make. How do they give themselves away?
Yeah, they repeat the pattern. Now, take the strangler. Look at his pattern.
I don't see any. I must be writing a lousy detective novel.
Okay, look. It's a girl at night, alone. He comes along in a car. She accepts a ride.
You're positive about the car?
It has to be. My theory is he didn't use it on the last one, on Mildred, until he'd made the approach on foot and lulled her. She was waiting for a bus, and he's waiting on the same corner. They get to talking. He invites her to have a cup of coffee, and then he mentions his car isn't far away, and he'll give her a lift. He takes her to the drive-in.
Drive-in? What drive-in?
Oh, that's something new. One of the car hops recognized Mildred's picture after the story broke. She remembered her coming in with a man and ordering coffee.
Good girl. That's a big help.
Yeah, it is.
And the man, did she remember him?
Yeah, it could be you or me or our grandfathers. No, she couldn't remember.
Half a loaf is better than none, eh?
I've got to go up to Beverly Glen, the scene of the crime. Want to come along?
Well, I had a date.
Come on. I can give you a better idea of what we're up against.
All right. I'll charge it up to research on the book.
Good. Shall we take your car or mine?
What was that? My car? Why? Was Brub suspicious? Did he want my car back up on that street? That street? Was this lunch arranged? No. I'd already hesitated too long in answering. It couldn't matter which car. It had been too late and too foggy. Did you say something, Brub? I'm sorry.
Thinking about the redhead, I said, whose car do we take, yours or mine?
Oh, we might as well take mine.
Hey, you don't mind another passenger?
Not at all.
The chief wants to come along, Jack Lochner. We'll go back by the station for him.
We swung out towards sunset, all three of us up front. Lochner was a tall, thin man with wispy gray hair. He didn't look like the chief of anything. I drove carefully. I suppose it's the thing to do with cops beside you. Nice day for a ride.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll shut up.
This is it, Dix. Turn right, Beverly Glen.
My hands began to sweat. If Brub hadn't called out, I knew I would have turned onto that street myself automatically, and I was a visitor from the east who didn't know the country very well. There was tension in my hands and arms, fear that I might recognize the place at the side of the road and react to it. And then slowly, I relaxed again, realizing that I didn't know the road, that I could never find the spot even if I wanted to, for it had been dark. We climbed into the valley. There was a chill in the air, and the sun was far away. Nobody spoke. These two men were on a case that had them tired and sore. It wasn't a time for a conversation piece. I drove on, waiting for somebody to tell me to stop.
Here we are.
Huh?
Just pull up along here, Mr. Steele, if you will.
Is this where you found her?
Right there in the brush.
You see how thick it is in here? He'd have known that. He'd have figured that she wouldn't be found for a long time with the leaves falling on her, covering her. And every day there'd be more leaves. Not many people look off at the side of the road when they're driving, not unless there's something scenic to look at. This canyon would be perfect.
Then how was she found so quickly?
Look, the milkman picked this spot in the world to have a flat.
The killer figured it smart. See how the road curves here? Well, he could see any lights coming from behind 2 loops below. And he can look up to the top of the hill, see the lights of a car approaching him when it takes the first of those 2 curves. He can sit with her in the car, looking like a spooner, until the other cars go by. He was playing it safe. So he does it. He opens the door of the car, he rolls her out into the leaves, and he's away. No chance of being caught at it. And strangling's the easiest way.
Yes, that makes sense. How about it, Brub? Find anything?
The experts have been over every inch with their microscopes. He won't find anything. But he wanted to have another look around, so I came along.
Well, it seems hopeless to me, Mr. Lochner. If there's nothing here, of all places, where can you look?
There's only one place we'll find anything.
And where's that?
In his car.
In the murderer's car?
That's where the evidence is right now. Enough to send him to the gas chamber.
Huh. Cigarette, Captain Lochner?
Yeah, thanks.
Got it?
Yeah, got it.
You haven't been able to get a description of that car yet, have you?
Not yet. We're working on the people at the drive-in. One of them is going to remember it.
And when you find it, then you'll go through it for those clues that you were talking about. Hairpins and lipstick?
No, Mr. Steele. Nothing like that.
What then?
Dust, Mr. Steele.
Dust?
You heard the man, Dix. He said dust. Like this stuff all over me. No matter how much I beat it, I can't get it all out.
Yeah, that's dust. We've got dust from the drive-in, dust from her clothes and her shoes, and dust from here, from a little thicket off Beverly Glen. 3 different kinds. And all of them in his car.
Oh, it's really fantastic. And even in 10 or 12 years, the dust will still be there.
Some of it will, yes.
You want my opinion of this case, gentlemen? The Strangler doesn't have a chance. I swung the car around and we rolled back down the canyon and into town. They were sitting beside me again, up front, sitting on the dust they wanted so desperately, breathing it into their lungs, having it settle on the flesh of their hands and their faces and in their hair. The golden little molecules that would send the strangler to the gas chamber floated gently and unseen before our eyes as we drove back. And I felt good. My hands were easy on the wheel. I could be talkative now. I was expected to be curious and impressed. I would come back to it again. Did it help you, Brud, coming back?
No, I didn't find anything. Didn't expect to.
You know something? He's from the East.
He is? Oh, you mean the waitress recognized an Eastern accent?
No, he talked just like anybody else. No accent. That's just Lochner's reconstruction.
He's from the East, I know that. He's a mugger.
I'm afraid I don't follow you, Captain. What's a mugger?
Certain gangs used to operate in New York. One man would get the victim so, you see, with his right arm, and the others would rob him. Until they found out it could be a one-man job. You don't need more than 2 fingers to strangle a man or a woman.
He's a mugger. He doesn't use his fingers. There aren't any finger marks. He used his arm. He's from the East.
As a fellow Easterner, Captain Lochner, you must admit that a Westerner could have learned the trick.
I've seen the way they did it in New York. He knows how. Same way.
I think you're right, Locke. We keep getting closer.
If you will, Mr. Steele, I'll get out right here.
All right.
Thanks for the lift, Steele.
Thanks for letting me go along.
I'll see you at the station, Bob.
Ever since this thing started, I've been afraid for her.
For her? You mean Sylvia?
She's lived in the canyon all her life. She never had any fear, wandered all over it any time of day. But the canyon at night, the way the fogs come in, it's a place for him, and I've scared her. She's alone so much I never know what hours I have to keep. You know our street, how dark and lonely it is, and the way our house is set up there. Oh, I'm the one who scared Dix. I've infected her, and I can't help it. I can't pretend. Until we've caught him, she isn't safe. Sylvia isn't safe.
I saw how it was with both of them. How they clung together, fear in both of them. The woman fearing to have her man close on the heels of a murderer, and Brub afraid for her because she was a woman, because she was his woman, and women were being stalked in the night. And yet, even though he was afraid, he would leave her, because he was a hunter, and this was a big hunt for wild game. Yeah, wild game.
Hello again, Mr. and Mrs. America. Waddle the Duck here, right on the outskirts of the Grover Cleveland pumpkin patch, when earlier I had witnessed what I could only describe as a close encounter of the third kind. The entire pumpkin patch has been evacuated, and we are all awaiting for the National Guard to enter and update us on the events happening inside. In the meantime, one could only imagine what the being in there is doing right now. Everybody run!